Hey everybody, I've got Tom French from Pandemic Studios right here, and we're going to talk The Saboteur. So Tom, obviously World War II is a pretty common setting for video games, but your game is doing something pretty unique with that. What can you tell us about The Saboteur, and how does it set itself apart from those other World War II games?
It's something really, we made a very conscious decision early along in the development of the project that we originally, so the main thing originally was just separating the story. It's not, the game's not about being a soldier, you're about a race car driver turned saboteur. And so that's actually inspired by a real world hero named William Grover Williams. And so we started with that, and so we really just kept wanting to kind of separate ourselves from the war. And so our game's not in the front lines, it's more like a blockbuster action movie, like an Indiana Jones or something like that. So it's not, it's just killing Nazis. You're blowing up Zeppelins and doing like big action moments as well. And then on top of that, we have the whole kind of the will to fight mechanic with the black and white and color, which really just does something different that you're not used to seeing in this kind of space.
Can you describe that in a bit more detail, that will to fight mechanic, and how it changes over the course of the game?
So the concept for the will to fight came when basically we knew we were going to do occupied Paris, and you think about Paris when you close your eyes and you have this beautiful, vibrant, colorful, lively city, but if you just put Nazis in there, it doesn't feel occupied. And so we really had to kind of turn that over on its head, and that's where we came up with the idea of doing black and white, and so it literally kind of sucking the life out of the world. And so it kind of inspired by Sin City, we put up the kind of the big bold colors and the flags, and so as a player, to us that represents occupation in the world. And so as the player plays these kind of big missions in the game and does these grand acts of sabotage and defiance against the Nazis, he'll bring the color back to the world, which is, and to us, color is inspiration. And you're not like single-handedly liberating Paris by yourself. You're not a lone wolf like taking down the Reich, but at the same time, you're inspiring the people in the world. And as you inspire the people in the world, they'll come back to life, and they'll come back out into the streets and almost to their pre-war lifestyles. And then after that, will really come to resistance. And that's really where the gameplay comes from. The inspiration, the people will be inspired, and that will bring resistance in the streets, and that's where the gameplay comes in, as they fight back alongside you.
Now, you mentioned Paris as the game's setting, and obviously the Saboteur is sort of this open-world sandbox game, and in those types of games, the setting is a huge part of that. How have you gone about converting such a majestic, historic city into an open-world setting?
So Paris is a huge challenge, and we actually go off into parts of Germany and even like the upper coastal parts of France as well. But Paris was like a really unique challenge, and like getting to visit Paris, you see these buildings kind of cobbled on top of each other, and everything just has its own kind of personality to it. And we really wanted to capture the spirit of Paris, but at the same time, we didn't want to build as Paris to scale. We really wanted, as a mantra, we had this. We wanted to put something literally on every block in the game, something to do everywhere. And so what we did is we started by scaling down a map of Paris and building all the monuments to real world scale and putting them where they belonged on this map. And so what you get is almost like a Disneyland version of Paris, where things are a little bit closer than they actually are. But what's cool about that is you see a monument from every other monument, so they become navigation tools. And then from there, one of the last key things is it's kind of part of our Odin engine, and it allows us to render this way, is we built all the buildings out of kind of like Lego pieces, and so every building, and we put those down in the world, these like kind of collections, and then from there we could swap them out and give every single block its own personality and add little accents and details, and so literally every block has a different kind of flavor and feel to it.
How much control, as Sean, do you have over sort of the outcome and the story that unfolds in this game?
So Sean has this main vengeance quest, and that's his main story in the game. And through that, he starts off with somebody that really just cares about racing, cares about himself and his friends, and pretty much nothing else beyond that. And throughout the game, you'll meet people and different resistance people, and you can take on their side stories and kind of care about their problems and inspire other pockets in the world. And so that's kind of the main like character growth of the game, and it's Sean's story, and there's definitely some little interactions and twists along the way that the player get to play.
Well, Tom, it looks like you guys are doing a lot of interesting stuff with World War II. I know I'm excited, but before I let you go, when is the game going to be released, and which platforms will it be available on?
So the Saboteur will be coming to the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, and we don't have a date for you at the moment, but we'll get one to you really soon.
Thank you very much, Tom. We should have a lot more coverage on the Saboteur leading up to that unspecified date.